So I don't like pain. I can't handle pain. So, and I get very aggravated when I'm in pain. So I told them I'm not going any higher. The only way I will go higher is if you get me that epidural. And so that's when Dr. Friday came out and he was open, and he told me that they were hoping that I would have been at least what did he say, a 6, 7 or an 8 centimeters dilated. I want to believe he said 8 centimeters dilated because of how the contractions were going and because of how intense they were getting, and they were getting close and lasting longer. He was hoping that I would have been at least at that point at 8 centimeters. I was at a good 4 centimeters. So I was halfway at the point that he wanted me to be. And so that was an epic fail. He looked at me, he said, "You're already looking so dehydrated, pale. I don't think you can handle anymore." That's what he told me. I said, "But Dr. Friday, I'm telling you, I cannot handle anymore." And so he came with this speech and he said, because we had this discussion before, that not all inductions work. Some of them work, some of them fail. And so mine was considered an epic fail. My own failed. And it probably failed because I wanted it to fail, because I did not want to go any higher. It could have also failed because there's a possibility that if I went higher, I would still not be as dilated. So what sense does it make? I'm not going to put myself through that. And it's not guaranteed that I'm going to reach where I need to reach. So in that case, then let's go to plan B. And so plan B, he sat there and he said, at the office we had a discussion that if the induction fails, what the next option would be. And of course, yes, you guys would know that when you have gone through the induction process, there's no turning back. And so your only other option is a cesarean. And let me tell you, I was never more happy. I was never happier for a C-section than at that point, because I was not having it. I was in so much pain. Guys, when I tell y'all pain, I mean, and my back, I felt like my back was splitting in two. I felt I was just passing gas. TMI. But I'm just going to be real with you guys. I was passing gas. Some persons say that they feel like they want to pass stool. I did not want to pass any stool. I was just passing gas. I was passing gas, and you don't want to you don't want to embarrass yourself. So at the beginning, I was holding in the gas because there are nurses around and all of that. And yes, I know that I'm human, but at the same time, it's embarrassing. For me, it's embarrassing. So I did not want to pretty much pass gas in front of the nurses and the doctor. So it got to a point where I noticed that me holding in the gas was causing more pain for myself with the contractions. And so I looked at the nurses and I said, "Listen, I am sorry, but I want to pass gas and I'm holding it in, and this gas is paining me." And my husband is like, "Babe, let it out. Babe, let it out." And I'm like, "Babe, but people here." And he's like, "Let it out because it's going to make you feel better." And one of the nurses came and she said, "It's okay. We've had worse than gas passing. So let it out. Let it out." And I said, "Okay, well, if you're telling me to let it out, I'm going to let it out." So I started letting it out, letting out the gas. And honestly, when I let out the gas, the pain was not as bad. Of course, it was still bad, but it was not as painful because I was adding more pain by holding in the gas. And so it got to a point where Dr. Friday noticed that I could not handle anymore, and so he had to opt to a cesarean. And so he asked my husband what he thought, like, if we should go ahead with the cesarean. And my husband looked at him and said, obviously my wife cannot go anymore. She's in a lot of pain, and like she just doesn't look good. So because of that, let's just go and let's do the C-section. And I was like, that's not even a question. Let's get it going. Stop talking and let's get the ball rolling. I need to see my son, and I need to be out of this pain. And so because all the time this talking is going on, I am still feeling these contractions, let me tell you. And so because of that, I was like, let's get the ball rolling. So I told Dr. Friday, C-section it is, no long talk, let's just get it done. And so he said, okay, no problem, I'm gonna call the team, they're gonna be here in 20 minutes. I was like, okay, good, I wish it could have been 10 minutes, but let's go, we'll deal with 20 minutes. And so he brought the form for me to fill out and sign, where I'm consenting to the C-section because the induction failed pretty much. And so we had no choice than the nurses had to get me ready to go into theater and into surgery. And yeah, and I would say less than 20 minutes, team was there. And so they wheeled me out of my room, took me to the operating room, and when I got there, I was in the waiting room of the operating room, and I said to them, you guys need to do something about this pain, because this pain is unbearable. You guys need to take me in and do something about this pain. And because all that time I'm still getting contractions, I'm going into a C-section and I'm still getting contractions. Like, stop these contractions, because, and Dr. Friday is like, so about 10 minutes, in about 10 minutes you won't feel the contractions anymore. And I'm like, 10 minutes? 10 minutes to deal with these contractions? I said, I need them gone. And so they wheeled me into the operating room from the waiting room, and the anesthesiologist came in and they gave me the epidural. And let me tell you, honey, I felt like I was in heaven, because that epidural changed everything. I did not feel any pain anymore, and so I was on cloud 9. I could have laughed again, smiled again, talk again, ask questions again, be curious again, because I was no longer in pain. However, when I touched my body now, bringing the African accent, when I touched my body from the epidural, it felt like I was 110 years old. My skin, how my skin felt. These things, it's crazy with these medications, but nevertheless, it helped a sister out. Okay, it helped a sister out. And so my lower part was numb. They went ahead, they did what they had to do. My husband was at my head side, and he was there crying away, and I am like, I'm cool, I'm about to meet my son, and I'm cool, I'm good to go, I'm feeling great. And I'm just looking at my husband, and I'm trying to figure out, why is he crying? He's looking over my head and he's crying, and I'm asking him, I'm saying, babe, why is it you're crying? What is it you're seeing on the monitor that you're crying? Because I could not have turned to the back to see. So I'm like, babe, what are you seeing on the monitor that you're crying? Anyway, I tried to turn, and I saw 100. I just saw the number 100 on the monitor, but I was not certain what that monitor was for and what that 100 was for. And so I asked my husband, because I know that when I was in my room, the hospital room, I was hooked up on the monitor and they were checking the baby's heart rate. And I know below 110, it's not good. So when I saw 100, the first thing that came to mind is that they're monitoring the baby's heart rate, and I'm seeing 100. So of course, yes, I started to panic. So I asked my husband, I said, does that have anything to do with the baby, if that's why he's crying? And he said he doesn't know, but he's praying and he's just crying because he doesn't know what the 100 is about. And so Dr. Friday apparently heard us discussing, and he turned to us and he said, the baby is fine. That has nothing to do with the baby. The baby is fine. The heart rate of the baby is fine. There isn't any issues. And so I was happy to hear that. My husband then calmed down, knowing that the baby was okay. And so the only struggle that I had with the C-section was that all I heard the doctor said is that the baby was stuck. I don't know. I am yet to remember to ask a question about that. But that's what my husband, the doctor told my husband and I, that the baby was stuck. So what they had to do pretty much was to apply pressure at the top of my stomach. So although the lower part of my body was numb, I felt that pressure. So they pressed down, and I felt like I was strangled, like somebody was strangling me. I could not have breathed, and I had to bawl out and say, I can't breathe. But I guess it was something quite normal for them. So they just paused for a little while and they went right back at it again. So the second time I was able to more or less prepare myself for not being able to breathe properly. And so in no time I started to hear, rah, 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 rah. And I just started to cry because I know that was our gift from God. I know that that was our prince crying. I know that that was our everything. I know that, that was just the moment we were waiting for. And so the tears just started to flow, and the tears were not enough. So I started, I started to cry, like big cry. And so that's when Dr. Friday looked at me and he said, Janicia, if there is anybody in this room who understands what this cry is all about, it's me. And I said, yes, Dr. Friday. And I started to cry again. It made me cry even more when he said that, because the journey has been a journey. It has been a journey. Dr. Friday has been on that journey from the get-go. And there was no other person that I could have seen delivering our prince, unless God said otherwise, than Dr. Friday, because he has been on that journey with us. He has been on the journey, like I said, prior to the 9 months, and he has been there even after.